everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast for busy, stressed out Christians who want to just survive and instead want to really thrive. I'm Liz Frericks, and this is my husband, Evan.
Hi there.
And we're so glad you guys are here with us on this wonderful Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, since it's Wednesday, we're going to talk about being centered, and this week we are talking about joy.
And it's a welcome relief after talking about suffering all week last week.
Yeah, that was a little exhausting.
Yeah, but this is the other side of that.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the other side of it. I don't know, I've been thinking about that verse in Psalms where it talks about how joy comes in the morning. That sorrow may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning.
That's right. I mean, our hope is that joy.
I think we forget that joy has an already not yet component. Just like all of salvation, all of sanctification, all those things. Like, we will have such incredible joy when Jesus comes back and we have new bodies that don't break down. In Revelation, the Bible talks about how there's going to be no more tears, no more sorrow.
Yeah,
like, we have amazing joy. And the time that we're on this earth is so short. But we also can have joy now, here, without having to wait until then.
And I think we desire it, and rightly so. I think Lewis talks about that when he talks about these appetites of the heart. There wouldn't be a hunger for it if there wasn't a way to fulfill that in God's world. And Jesus talks about the kingdom being here now. When he was on earth the first time, even though he was the suffering servant, the kingdom was there in his midst. And we want to be in his midst, and that's where the joy is.
So being centered involves living out of the essence of who God's designed us to be. Really being who you are is one of the things that I wrote down, that we're called to be who we are, which I really love that. Like, that is so freeing to me. I mean, not just who we are, but the best version of ourselves, you know?
Yeah, I love that too, because it highlights for me the fact that God is intimately involved in who I am. It's not just like he turned on the DNA generating machine and kind of let mankind procreate all over the earth and just whatever happens.
Right.
He's involved, and I'm the way I am for a reason, and I'm happy about that. But there have been times where I've been like, oh boy, I wish that was different, or I wish I could, and then you try to push back against that and maybe change who you are. I think we get caught up in that. High school is a real dangerous time for that, and joy's out the window right away because we're trying to change these kind of things that are hardwired into us by God. Right.
Yeah. One of the things I wrote down was, how often do we try to please others? Like,
that's a big one.
I think we think sometimes that joy comes from, and joy does have a relational component. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes we think if we were just somebody else, somebody cooler, somebody thinner, somebody more talented, the list goes on and on.
Personality traits, right? Like somebody more outgoing, somebody less outgoing.
Right. And we hope that will bring us happiness. But I actually was thinking about plecostomuses, which is a kind of fish. We always name our plecostomus Jeeves because they're the fish that clean up.
Yeah. And
they grow to be the right size for their environment, whatever that is. And I think when we're, tucking ourselves in, we're like pulling in. It's kind of like, I kind of have this mental picture of us like turning into little balls, we're making ourselves smaller than we really are. And our environment shifts to match that. And so there's like for me, it was so easy for me to say, I will, let this side of myself out once I get in a place where it's safe to do that. Or once I get in a place where I feel like I can stand up to people, or until you be that person, then you don't find those environments. I think sometimes it's sort of the opposite of the plecostomus. Like, they grow to fit their environment, but I think our environment shifts around us to fit who we're being.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. We have a fair amount of power. If we conceal and kind of cloak ourselves, we're going to get stuck. But it's scary to step out and to be who you are. But I think then the power of God's behind that. I mean, it's his power that made you that way in the first place.
And there's such joy with aligning into who God designed you to be, because then you get to do all the stuff that he's called you to do, the things that are, fulfilling to your heart and fun. It's so great getting to do those things. I mean, why wouldn't you want to? But it's so easy to get stuck in that place where you're like, well, no, I'm not going to do that yet. But being centered is about being who you are now in the environment you're in, regardless of how that's perceived or how people react to it. And then, maybe that means that you lose some friendships, you gain some other ones, but it means that you're a better person, a healthier person.
We mentioned yesterday that verse in Galatians 5 about those that belong to Jesus crucify on the cross their personal passions and desires. So I don't want us to make it sound like we're saying two conflicting things here. We're not talking about so embracing the core of me and my passions and my desires, and that somehow glorifies God. There's also, we have to realize the flesh and the spirit battle happening. When we're embracing who we are, it's who we are in the spirit.
Yeah.
And it's who we are in God's eyes. And we can pour our energy into that. And that glorifies God.
And it's super fun.
Yeah. But if we're just like, oh, you know what, I think I collect jelly beans. I don't know, like something that's just out of left field, and it's like, this, I'm going to pour my heart and my passion into that. And there's no consulting God, there's no prayer, and it's just something that seems right. I mean, and that's way oversimplifying it, because we get in all kinds of knots. People think they're worshiping. I mean, look at the Pharisees. They thought they were worshiping God by all the stuff they were doing, and yet
tithing their mint and dill and cumin.
Right. And so there's the flesh, and they were under the power of the flesh there, trying to somehow glorify the spirit.
Right.
And they got compared to whitewashed tombs.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons that centered comes after surrendered, because you start with surrender. Like, if you're not surrendered, you can't be centered. There's a progression. But when you're really living out of the essence of who God designed you to be, I think joy is one of those byproducts, because you're doing the things that he designed you to do, and it's just amazing.
And makes you want to dive into it even more. There is an ever-expanding realm of possibility there because of God's infinite mind. It's not like you can figure it out on a weekend and then you might be bored next year because you already did it.
Right.
We keep doing it.
Hopefully that gives us all something to think about today, because joy is possible. And if we're not centered, we're short-circuiting that. Because I can guarantee you're going to be miserable if you're not centered. Like, there's no if. It's a guarantee.
And it's not just something, you either, it kind of comes with the territory. If you're constantly fighting within yourself, you're going to be at turmoil with yourself. But people do it all the time, don't they?
Yeah, and it's not fun. It's not good on your relationships either. I know we'll talk more about that tomorrow with Connected, but, when you're not being centered, the relationships that you build are kind of a lie. And then if you try to be yourself, people are like, whoa, what is going on here? Who are you? What'd you do with my friend?
Like another number of these things, you can either build up this synergy snowball, and it can be like better and better, or this kind of entropy, or I don't know what the other word is. This other kind of snowball where you're getting more and more. It's the more steps there are to come back from it the farther you walk down the path.
Totally.
And so, if you keep putting on a mask and then a mask on top of that mask and a mask on that one, and you're not genuine, and you're not, because you don't like yourself.
Right. Or because you think nobody else will like you.
It's hard to peel that stuff off.
Mm-hmm. Takes time.
Today is a great day to start, because today's better than starting tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. If you want to have a huge oak tree, the best time to plant it was 10 years ago. But
20, I think.
Or 20, whatever. But the second best day would be to plant it today. Because every day we wait is another day longer till we get there.
And that's why we do this podcast every day. We want to be part of that process with you.
Yeah, we love how much these principles have changed our lives. And we love watching when other people apply them, because they really are so transformative. All right, we love you guys, and we're praying for you. Thanks to everybody that's been sharing the show and listening to the show. We really appreciate it. If you have found this podcast helpful, please do share it. If you haven't signed up for our email newsletter, go on our website, epiceverydaynow.com, and do that. As always, pick whether today is going to be awesome or not, because what you pick has an impact on how your day goes. Mm-hmm. I need that reminder every single day. So, reminding you guys too, Come back tomorrow and we're going to keep talking about joy and talk about being connected in the middle of that, or not being connected, how that affects our joy.
Yeah.
Have an awesome Wednesday.
See you guys later.